$148. If you have a standalone Medicare drug plan, that is what one ingredient in your premium is set to rise by next year, and about 80% of it has nothing to do with the cost of your medication. Here is the arithmetic, and it is all public. There is a figure called the base beneficiary premium. For 2026, it is $38.99, and a temporary Medicare program knocked $10 off it, bringing it to $28.99. For 2027, that base figure rises to $41.33, and the $10 reduction is gone. $28.99 to $41.33 is $12.34 a month, $148 over the year. And of that $12.34, only $2.34 is the drug benefit itself getting more expensive. $10 of it is a support being withdrawn. That support was called the Part D Premium Stabilization Demonstration. Over 2 years, it cost $9.8 billion, and on July 28th, CMS announced it ends in January. Your coverage did not change. The scaffolding underneath the price did. Now, before I go further, the most important sentence in this episode, and it comes straight from Medicare's own actuaries. Quote, "In practice, premiums vary significantly from one Part D plan to another and seldom equal the base beneficiary premium." So nothing I just said is your premium. It is one ingredient. I do not know what your plan will charge in January, and neither does anyone else right now, because the plan-by-plan numbers are not published yet. They arrive in mid to late September. I will come back to that, because it is the date that actually matters to you. So let me explain what that program actually was, in plain terms. When the Inflation Reduction Act redesigned Part D, it moved a lot of cost onto the plans. CMS was concerned that standalone drug plans would respond by raising premiums sharply, so in 2025, it set up a voluntary demonstration. Almost every plan joined. GAO reports 782 of 818 standalone plans, about 96%. It did two things. It took a flat amount off the base premium for every participating plan, and it capped how much any single plan could raise its total premium from 1 year to the next. In 2025, that was $15 off and a $35 cap. In 2026, it stepped down $10 off and a $50 cap. For 2027, both of those are gone. Did it work? By the government's own measure, yes. GAO looked at what would have happened without it and found that for people who stayed in the same plan, monthly premiums would have nearly doubled on average. 37% of them would have gone up by more than $40. With the demonstration, the average standalone premium went from $42 to $43. It also cost $9.8 billion across the 2 years. That is GAO's figure, $6.2 billion in 2025, $3.6 billion in 2026. So this was never permanent. CMS designed it as temporary from the start. What is notable is only the timing. CMS had planned for at least 3 years, and it is ending after 2. CMS's stated reason. From the fact sheet, plan sponsors had sufficient experience under the redesigned Part D benefit to support their assumptions in setting their bids. In other words, the agency thinks the market has found its footing. Now, a question I expect from anyone who follows this closely. The law caps how fast that base premium can rise, 6% a year, written into the Inflation Reduction Act. So if the base is capped at 6%, how could anybody's premium jump by more than that? This is the mechanism, and it is worth getting right. The 6% cap covers the base, it does not cover the finished price. Your plan's premium is the base, plus or minus the gap between your plan's own bid and the national average bid, plus any supplemental premium, plus a late enrollment penalty if you have one, minus certain rebates and subsidies. That bid gap is not capped by the 6% rule. It never was. And the national average bid moved a long way this year, from $239.27 to $296.05. The only thing that was limiting a plan's total premium, base plus supplemental, was the demonstration's own cap, $35, then $50. Nothing in the law replaces it. That is the honest answer. The base stays capped. The total does not. There is one more piece of context, and it explains why this matters more than a dollar figure suggests. The standalone drug plan market has been shrinking. KFF, counting the plan files Medicare publishes each year, found 709 standalone plans in 2024, 464 in 2025, and 360 in 2026. That is KFF's count, not a number Medicare publishes directly. I want to be precise about where it comes from, but the direction is not in dispute. Roughly half the standalone plans available 2 years ago are gone. Which means if your plan does reprice or stops being offered, you may have fewer places to go than the last time you looked. That is the real reason to check early rather than in the last week of November. I want to be fair here, because there is a real disagreement about how much this will be felt, and you deserve both sides. CMS's position is that most people will see an increase of less than $10 a month, and that some may pay less. KFF, which studies this closely, put it differently. Their words: without these extra subsidies, some Part D standalone drug plan enrollees could face a larger premium increase for drug coverage next year than in recent years, though plan-specific premium amounts are not yet known. Notice that both of them end at the same place. Nobody knows yet. And to KFF's credit, in the same paragraph they grant the other side of it, that the subsidies worked as intended, and that they cost $9.8 billion. Both things are true at once. A word on what this is. This is educational, how a Medicare payment rule works. It is not advice about which plan you should be in, and I am not looking at your situation. Every figure here comes from CMS, from the statute, or from GAO, and the links are in the description. And to be clear about scope, this episode covers the standalone drug plan premium and one demonstration that is ending. Your Part B premium, IRMAA, the 2027 deductible and out-of-pocket cap, Medicare Advantage plans that include drug coverage, and the negotiated drug prices starting in 2027 are all not covered here. Those are separate episodes with separate numbers. I will mention one of them only because the dates sit together. The 2027 Part D deductible is $700, and the out-of-pocket cap is $2,400. Both are final. Both come from Medicare's own rate announcement. That is a different episode. So what should you actually do? Less than you might think, and the timing is the whole thing. Right now, in August, there is nothing to act on. The plan level premiums for 2027 do not exist publicly yet. Anyone selling you a decision this month is working from numbers they do not have. Mid to late September is when CMS releases the landscape, the plan-by-plan pricing. That is when your actual number appears. Then October 15th through December 7th is open enrollment. That is the window. Changes you make take effect January 1st. And this is the part one would underline. If you do nothing, you are not staying still. You are choosing to accept whatever your plan prices itself at for next year. Doing nothing is a decision here, and this year it may be a more expensive one than usual. So the single action is this. Put a note in your calendar for the first week of October. Open the Medicare Plan Finder. Look up what your own plan is charging for 2027 and compare it to what you are paying now. That is a 15-minute job, and it is the only one that matters. If the number surprises you, you do not have to work it out alone. 3 doors, all free. 1-800-MEDICARE, 24 hours a day, medicare.gov for the Plan Finder. And your state health insurance assistance program, SHIP, which gives one-to-one counseling, unbiased, at no cost. And if the honest problem is that you cannot afford it, ask about extra help and about Medicare savings programs. Those are real programs, a lot of people qualify and never apply, and either of those calls is the right one to make. To put the whole thing in one sentence, a temporary support that was always going to end is ending, 1 year earlier than planned. Your coverage did not change. The scaffolding under the price did, and nobody, not CMS, not KFF, not me, can tell you what your plan will cost until those September numbers land. Anyone who does is guessing, so mark October, check your own plan. That is the episode.